So, good day, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, dear Grider. Welcome to our fireside chat with Fabrice TESTA. Hello, Fabrice.
Hey, hello, Steve. Nice to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for accepting. In order to start off with just a few words about Startup Grind. Startup Grind is one of the biggest communities of startups in the world. And we see it as our mission to give startups, this means young companies, everywhere the education and the opportunities they need to build, grow, and scale their companies. And during this fireside chat, those who are active here, present here, you can ask your questions in the Q&A, and then I will them up during our discussion, or at the afterwards, you can take them. But now, without further ado, Fabrice, could you just tell us in a nutshell, what are the services or products you are offering for the time being?
Yeah, look, for the past 3 decades, I've been a serial entrepreneur. So I founded, co-founded, or participated in the creation of multiple companies. I have a passion for turning crazy ideas into breakthrough ventures. So I would say what keeps me busy today is to be an entrepreneur myself. So I'm still involved as an entrepreneur in a few companies. One who is established here in Luxembourg, Mana Electric. We are active from the clean tech industry and also the space tech industry, and we can talk more maybe later. I'm also a mentor and a coach. So I'm involved in several programs. I will be a coach again in the Fit for Start program here in Luxembourg. And I'm involved in several other programs, mostly European programs. I'm also a writer, and I wrote a book, Super Entrepreneurship Decoded. Hopefully, the book was well received, and it's still among the best-selling list on Amazon. I publish also every week a newsletter, Testa Pulse Weekly, and I have also a monthly version of this newsletter where I share some tips for entrepreneurs, innovators. And I'm also an investor, a business angel investor. So today I have a portfolio of about directly or indirectly about 30 companies. And in some, I'm a board advisor, board director. So I see today my mission on planet Earth as to inspire and guide innovators and game changers in order to build a better world. And I try to do this in several capacities by funding myself companies, by investing. So as an entrepreneur, I give my time. As a business angel, I give money. When I speak at events or when I write blogs or books, etc., or a newsletter, it's more through the words to try to inspire and guide. So this is mostly what I do. I have also a online coaching program, the Crazy Method Launchpad, based on my crazy method that I unveil in my book, Super Entrepreneurship Decoded. Yeah, so I'm involved in many things, but yes, indeed, everything is around my mission that I just described.
Great, thank you. But that is what is today. Like, if you go back a little bit in time, if I'm not mistaken, you were more with an engineering background in the space industry, and then you did the move to a more entrepreneurial field. How did that move come about? I mean, it's not that you get up one day and say, "Clack, yeah, now I will be an entrepreneur." What was the trigger to say, "Okay, I'm from an engineer, a little bit more rigid, to the entrepreneurial fields and so on?"
Yeah. No, that's a good question indeed. And a few years ago, I had a bit to reflect on this and to question myself. Oh, what motivated me to make the move, etc. So today, I think I have an explanation. Look, when I was about 10 years old, I like, I was very intrigued by the move of the world, etc. And I don't know, but I had a little voice in me saying you need to let's say make your contribution to somehow try to have some influence, on this and contribute at building something which will be better, etc. So I mean, I knew that I wanted somehow to contribute. Maybe this is a bit too ambitious, and I will be a bit too, let's say, not humble saying this, but to contribute to make history or something like this. So that I had this little voice. I was also passionate about space because I like Star Trek and things like that. So I was really passionate about intergalactic flights, missions, etc. So I had this crazy dream to become an astronaut myself. But at the time that I graduated as an engineer, I was too young. The first batch of European astronaut was already selected, etc. So I decided to start within a company doing more an engineer job, etc. What happened is that after 2 3 years I didn't like too much the job as an engineer, and I was seeing myself more on the business side because I like social contacts. I like, let's say, commercial, probably also because my grandfather was a merchant, etc. So probably I have this in my blood. And so I decided quickly to create my first company, and I was 26, 27 when I created my first company. And it was in the multimedia. It was the dot-com array, let's say, era. So a lot of internet sites, etc. The first mix of all these digitalization, images, etc. What was called multimedia by that time. And I created a company. We did a few websites, but mostly we focus on interactive systems. And once I went to the CeBIT trade show in Germany, and there I met a guy that was manufacturing interactive kiosk. It was games with the first touch screens, etc. And I found, oh, that is fantastic. Probably this would be perfect, in the McDonald's restaurants for the kids, etc. And the guy said, "Oh, yeah, you can if you want to be a bit our reseller, but you need to buy a unit." And by that time, I'm from the working class, so I had no. I was not very rich by that time, so I said, "No, I cannot buy one, but I promise you that I will sell you one or even more. And if I buy one, then I will be in a capacity to buy you a demo unit, etc." So the guy accepted, and it was a huge success, to be honest, with McDonald's. They like it, also with the quick restaurants. And so I started to install a lot of these interactive kiosks. And then a lady came in a restaurant, and uh, her kid was disabled, mentally disabled, and he was really very happy playing with the game. So she told me, you should install this also in clinics, hospitals, etc. So I started then to install this into hospitals for disabled kids, or kids, that and sadly have cancer, things like this, so that they can play. Because by that time there was not the Game Boys and all these kind of things. So, and this was also very successful. And yes, and of course this was more rewarding because I had, the feeling that I could really create an impact also with this. So it started
Uh,
like this, my entrepreneurial journey.
and how did you go? I mean, did you do it on your own, or did you have a team, some founding pals, and how did you evolve? Because one thing is the bootstrapping side, But then also during your journey, you notice also came out maybe it can go in that direction or that direction, and as you said, from going from out of home signage to indoor hospitals and so on. It's a different market. It's a regulated market, maybe. It's the different installations are different and so on. How did you approach that? Was that something where you didn't bother because you were in the flow, or would you say, okay, but you were lucky because X, Y, Z?
Yeah, for that first company, I mostly bootstrapped, to be honest. It was more initially a solopreneur venture. I had a few guys that worked for me, and at some point I had also a very big project for an airport in Belgium where we install screens. It was, the first plasma screens, etc. I remember that by that time, a plasma screen 50-inch was 16,000 euro. One was very expensive when you see now the price of the first monitors. And there, of course, I constitute a team, etc., to work on this project. But it remains mostly, I had not really a co-founders with me, so it was more a solopreneur. But by that time, what also, to be honest, I found quite alone. I would have loved to have co-founders. Also, there was not at that time all these accelerator incubators that we have now. So it would have been nice also to have mentors or coaches, etc., to help me. And it's probably because I miss a lot this when I was myself an entrepreneur that I decided also to be a mentor and a coach, because I want to provide to entrepreneurs what myself I could not, let's say, get. But yes, I mostly bootstrap. At some point, I was successful to get some public funding, etc. And then I had the opportunity just to exit the company. It was not a huge exit, but I had the opportunity just to exit the company. And I had the opportunity to join the funding team of another company that wanted to make, let's say, a real impact with the transition of cinema from analog to digital to eliminate the toxic 35 mil prints. And so I entered that new venture. Yes, that was a fantastic adventure. During 10 years, starting from almost zero, we became a company of 200 people, 100 million turnover. So massive success that took, of course, 10 years, but I can talk more about the challenges also of that adventure.
Yeah, because if you come back, I mean, you touched already upon it as a solo entrepreneur, and also your journey is very, you're alone, and it's maybe hard because you can have nobody to challenge. That's why Startup Grind is also had been developed on one hand, and also if you're in a team, a lot of our fireside chatters and also our members and myself, what I experience also is you have different challenges within the team, because even if you are very closely knit, your founding team, which is very closely knit, you will tell yourself, okay, there are moments where either it goes slower, or where you would say, okay, if you can we not accelerate it further? And also sometimes the team, it changes because it grows and it changes. How did you live that part? Or was that something again which luckily became naturally in the flow?
You mean for myself or with all the team members?
Yeah, in overall, yes.
Yeah, I think indeed, for me, probably the one of the key success factor of any, let's say, entrepreneurial, let's say, venture is the team. And I think what makes probably a great leader or not a great leader, what makes a leader great is his capacity to recognize, let's say, what are the strengths of each person and to put that person in the specific role where that person will excel. And for me, that's key. I had the opportunity myself when I was leading teams to try to see, okay, that person is really good at doing this, so this is what this person should do. Sometimes, some other of, let's say, people from the founding team, they were not believing in that person, and they have been surprised by the result, because what I have seen sometimes is when you give, let's say, the responsibilities to someone that has the potential to really do the job, sometimes you are really very surprised by the result, because some people really they just let's say go beyond your expectations in terms of the results or that they can achieve. Of course, sometimes there are also some disappointments, some people that you put a lot of hopes on these people, and unfortunately they are not, let's say, at the level that you were expecting. So this happens too. But for me, this is really something which is critical, and I think this is what makes the success of a company or not, is the capacity of the leader or of the founding team to see where each person can really be at his best. And also, what I like in the entrepreneurial journey is also when really you can, some people can become a better version of themselves. And even if the company is a failure, if at least you succeeded in making some people a better version of themselves, for me, you succeeded. Because at least, even if, again, commercially or business-wise, the company is a failure, but if at least this was achieved, I think for me that you did something great, because you allow some people just to be better in their, let's say, daily lives. So for me, yes, it's what I like in leading teams and in creating ventures.
Okay, great. And on the other hand, I mean, as you said, the second venture was bigger and also was more involved, probably also more turnover and some more people. Um, did you go about bootstrapping, or also did you take external resources in? And if you took external resources in, how was it in order to adapt? Because when you take external resources, financial resources also in, on the one hand, you need to give away part of your baby. And on the other hand, you need to be open and aware that there are other people able to give you advice, not telling you what to do, but let's say give you advice. How was that with the second venture?
Yeah, with this, let's say, digital cinema company, indeed, we could grow up because we first we had some investor investing in the company. Also, we raised quite a lot of debt because we had a lot of capex to finance. So in total, we raised 150 million of debt facility. And we grew up quite a lot by external acquisitions. So we acquired integrators, resellers, distributors for our products and services in different countries. So mostly we could become this group of 200 people by integrating within, let's say, the group some external companies. Was it easy? Absolutely not. It was not easy. Why? Because when you integrate, an Italian or German company that they have their way to work, etc., and you need to have some common rules for logistic, for commercial. So you need to adapt. Okay, we need to have a commercial speech which is almost the same. We need to have a kind of common baseline, how we service customer, etc., how we support customers. So the logistic also, etc. The IT systems, because at some point we wanted also to have a common ERP system, etc. All of this have been a lot of challenges, I have to say. But finally, we found some common ground by having a kind of centralized, let's say, administration, and then decentralized, let's say, sales offices. So a kind of up and spoke, let's say, approach. But it was, very time consuming, and yes, we spend a lot of time to do this for sure. But ultimately, we could make it. But again, I said it took 10 years. Now maybe because the world is accelerating exponentially. Maybe today with the new technologies, etc., maybe it might be faster. But here it was in the early 2000s, and it took 10 years indeed to go from almost zero to 100 million turnover, 200 people. Yes, but.
Yeah, I guess also the time should be not the issue, because what I've seen is there's an average of between 5 and 7 years. If within 5 or 7 years you have reached a certain level, then your venture can be considered a success and it will be developed further. If within 5 or 7 years you haven't reached a certain level, either you haven't reached a scale-up mode, then it will be difficult. And then maybe it's good to see, okay, maybe a trade sale, maybe something else, and so on. That's right. And on the other hand, uh, when you got out of the active entrepreneurial sphere and got into more, saying, into the business angel and environment, was that something which was hard? Was it a mentally hard thing, or was it something triggered by saying, okay, now I have the opportunity, I have the resources, I have the opportunity, and eventually you had already some deal flow? How there was it? It was this chicken and egg thing. Is it that you saw some opportunities that you became a business angel? Let's call it a business angel, an investor. Or was it that you said, okay, maybe I have enough. I would like to start something again, but not on my own. And then I will become an investor, and I'm looking for potential ventures. How was that step?
Yeah, I think the step. So I founded a satellite service company in Luxembourg. It was at late 2012, and in 2015 we got an offer on the table, and the majority shareholder, which was a big satellite operator, decided to accept the offer because we were not very strategic for them, and we were pretty small compared to their size. So for them, it it made sense, let's say, to just accept the offer. Me personally, I wanted indeed to repeat the previous success and to scale the company, still a few years, etc. But it is what it is, and finally, yes, the company was sold in 2015. After the sale of the company, I had no new entrepreneurial project, because in the, let's say, previous, let's say, almost, yes, it was almost 20 years, I would say. I've been always creating companies, etc. And here, I had the luxury to have a bit time and to have a bit of money, but without entrepreneurial projects. So I said to myself, look, I will wait either to have a big idea or to meet an entrepreneur with a big idea. And in the meantime, I wanted to still be active in the startup community. So I started to attend events, etc., to be part of ALBAN, the Luxembourg Business Angel Network, and then I decided, okay, maybe I should start to invest in other companies and also to support them as a coach, mentor, etc. Because at least I will keep myself involved in the startup ecosystem, but in another way, not building companies, but supporting founders and entrepreneurs, either with money or with some advice as a mentor or coach. And so it started like this. Was it hard? Of course, I did probably like all business angel investors, a few mistakes. Either I invested in companies that I should not have invested in, or I missed some opportunities also. I should have invested in some companies and I didn't invest. And today, when I see, these companies that have huge valuations, probably I did a big mistake by not investing. But I guess that all business angels probably or investors, we make this kind of mistakes. Hopefully today, with the experience, yes, when I see I have seen some good opportunities recently that I didn't want to miss to avoid, let's say, the previous mistake. I had some opportunities that also I didn't invest, and probably it was also a wise decision not to invest into these companies because they are not going well now. So, of course, with the experience and the maturity, probably you try to minimize the early mistakes when you start. Yeah.
And then coming to this one, if you invest, what are you looking for? I mean, what makes you the trigger? Looking for a return on invest for sure, but what is the trigger? Is it, I have a feeling it can be the people, can be the idea, can be the industry. What is it, what makes you trigger and saying, okay, oh, this is one I would like to get more involved? Or oh, this is one, but okay, there my value is not so big and I will not get involved. What is it with what makes you trigger?
I think usually it's probably the personality of the founder of founders, usually that at some point they spike my interest because either they have a vision or they have extreme motivation. And really I can, let's say, adhere, let's say, to what they say and how they see the future of their company. That's probably the first thing. After that, yes, what is their technology? What is their market? Do they have, let's say, a good execution plan? Of course, after that, I would say there are all the fundamentals, that I will look for. But initially, usually, yes, it's the vision and the persistence of the founders, and really that you see that they have understood something that maybe some others they don't understand. They see something that others don't see, and they are going to build something that probably can be great and can be big. Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I mean, going back to the topic of this fireside chat, I like people that dream big and bold. I like people that have crazy ideas, and where I see let's say, where probably I can help is to, okay, how can you materialize this big and bold dream into breakthrough ventures? This is why I developed, my crazy method in order to help innovators to materialize, let's say, this kind of big and bold dreams into, let's say, real companies that can really make a difference.
Okay, thank you. And if you look back and with hindsight, what would be the 2 or 3 things, activities, events, people, personalities, which have impressed you the most? If you look back about through now with hindsight, what would be, even if it's only one, but the 2 or 3, they say, okay, that impressed me.
Companies or events?
No, everything. What were the things which impressed you most? Things being people, companies, events, customers, products, services.
Okay, that's not an easy question, I would say. I mean, yeah, there are, let's say, probably some authors and books that influence me for sure. For example, in terms of personal development, etc., I like very much Tim Ferriss. I think that he has always a very great view to see things, etc. And so I have applied, let's say, several of his methods to me to try to improve myself. So that probably is great. I'm for example listening right now. The biography about Elon Musk for sure. Is for all innovators an inspiration, even if he has a personality which is questionable, I would say. But anyway, I think it's probably something which he is someone probably that can be quite inspiring. I think also I like very much, Richard Branson as an entrepreneur because he has this mix of going with very wild, crazy ideas, but also doing himself, as an adventurer, etc. So for me, that has been quite impressive. I think coming back, to my passion for space, etc. For me, the one thing that blew my mind when I was a kid was the space shuttle. For me, that was just extraordinary. For me, the space shuttle was a real revolution, for sure. Uh, and and also when I discover, all these exponential movement, that have been popularized by the Singularity University, Peter Diamandis, etc. These are also things that transform me quite a lot when I understood, okay, it's true that we have a linear mind, but the world is accelerating exponentially. And so we have today technologies to really make a difference. And if we apply these technologies, we can really try go at least at the same pace than the world. That also had a big influence probably on my thinking, etc. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I mean, you mentioned the word crazy several times. If you could just tell us in a nutshell what this crazy method is, if it's possible in a nutshell, I mean.
Yeah, no, it's very easy. Look, I explained this in several podcasts, but I'm happy to explain. Of course, if one wants to know better, he should read the book, my book, Super Entrepreneurship Decoded. But crazy is for crazy ideas, and crazy, it's an acronym. So each letter means something. So the C is for catapult your ambition. Why? Because I've seen that most of these what I call super entrepreneurs. So these innovators that want really to tackle big problems with very crazy ideas. Usually they catapult their ambition to really a big ambition. Again, we were talking about Elon Musk. Okay, I want to go on Mars, so this is a big ambition, so that humanity becomes an interplanetary species. So this is a big ambition for sure, But at a, let's say, a lower level, for example, I invested in a company called Aurora Tech, and what they want is to mitigate, or if not, try to almost remove all the wildfires with their technology, So this is also a big ambition. So this is the C. Because if you don't have, this big ambition, if you don't catapult your ambition to really the biggest heights, you will not achieve this kind of big, bold dreams. So that's the first one. Then the R is for rock solid plan, because you need to have a rock solid plan. It's not enough to dream big. You need also to have a plan in order to achieve, let's say, your goal, your ambition. And what I see is that most of these innovators, even if they dream big, etc., they have a plan that really is well defined and is rock solid. And this makes a huge difference. So they are not just dreamers, but they are also planners. Then the A is for amazing solution. Usually they build amazing solutions that really makes a difference, and they leverage usually exponential technologies in order to build this kind of amazing solution. But they really try to have very, very solutions that really are outstanding. And this also makes a difference, because again, if you want to solve this kind of big problems, you need to have this kind of solution. Then the Z, and this is one which is very important, is the zeitgeist. So the mood of the time or the timing. Because you can have a very good idea, but if your idea comes too early, you are just going to burn a lot of cash. If your idea comes too late, the market is over. So I think most of these super entrepreneurs, they have a capacity to size when is the right moment, etc. And when is the right moment, the right momentum, they just put more, let's say, gas or fuel, let's say, on the fire in order to really speed up and go faster. And finally, the Y is for Yamakasi. So Yamakasi is a term that comes from Africa, etc., but it's also a movie about these free runners, etc. And it's to represent the mindset of these innovators. So they are hard workers, but they are also very agile, etc. And they are looking for excellence in everything they do. And so for me, the Yamakasi represent quite well the mindset that needs to be adopted if you want to do this. So in a nutshell, usually these people that want to materialize crazy ideas, they are dreamers, but they are also planners, and they are very good doers. So because it's not enough to dream or to plan, you need also to do, and to do, you need to have this Yamakasi mindset. So this is the crazy method.
Okay, not so crazy at all. But
No.
I mean, we are coming more or less to the end. In order to wrap up, we have talked now a little bit about your journey, what you're doing now, and what is what you would like to see happen in the medium or long term. What is it where you say, okay, that would be great if this would happen? No specific area or so, but just if you could say, okay, I have a crystal ball, but I have a magic wand. I can influence what I see in this crystal ball. What would it be?
I think that with the world, let's say, becoming more digital, what we have seen is a lot of entrepreneurs wanted to create their startup, to try to have the same success as Facebook, let's say Google, etc. for sure, or let's say, or other, let's say, companies, in the digital tech, etc. What I would like to see is more entrepreneurs in the deep tech area. So people that really tackle big problems with hardware or hardware, let's say, slash software, let's say, solutions, but solutions that really needs to have real big innovations behind, etc. Why? Because I do believe that if we want, there was the COP28 is just ending. If we want to find solutions to help at mitigating, climate change, for example, like the carbon capture or in the atmosphere, etc., we need more of these deep tech solutions. And usually, of course, there are quite a lot of entrepreneurs in the deep tech area, but not enough, in my opinion, because when I discuss with young entrepreneurs, they want to create an app, because it's easy, etc. And they are a bit afraid, deep tech is hard, it takes too long, etc. And so they are a bit afraid to enter into that space. From my experience, to create a deep tech company or to create another company, I think the challenges are almost the same. It's just that probably the way that capital is injected in the company is a bit different, because in the deep tech, probably you need in the first years more to have more R&D dilutive non-funding, like the IC accelerator, money before scaling, etc. So it's a bit different. So there are, of course, differences, but the energy that you will put in the company will be anyway the same. And so, what I would like to see is probably more entrepreneurs, and particularly young entrepreneurs, that have a desire to really contribute at building a better future, that are not afraid to dream big and bold, by tackling big problems with very tough and very complicated solutions. But if they succeed, they can really create a huge impact. Because Facebook, is nice for sure, but do we need another Facebook? I don't think so. I think we have one that works very well. Do we need more solutions to capture more carbon, for example, in the atmosphere? Yes, we need. So that's what I would like to see.
Thank you very much, Fabrice, for this
My pleasure.
very refreshing, insightful, and really forward-looking fireside chat. And I guess it has also put a little bit the level high, and not to stick with your the pains you encounter in your daily life, or you think your clients have, but to go above the pains, to look a little bit further, and then really dream big and bold, and dare to do it, dare to be crazy. Let's call it like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. As I always say, build the world you love.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Steve, and thanks all. Thank you. Bye-bye.